Hey, experts, we've got something really awesome that we do here at Coffee Experts Club, and that's called the My First Drive-Through Coffee Masterclass. So if you're opening your next coffee shop, I think a lot of times you may think to yourself, I know what goes into opening a coffee shop. I've been doing this for years, but maybe you've been doing it for somebody else. And maybe this is your first option of starting a coffee shop on your own. Or maybe you don't know anything about coffee and you're just like, I'm looking for a good investment opportunity. Starting a coffee shop seems like a good place to put it, and you're going to enter into it. But what you don't know is all the things that you don't know, right? And so what we've done with this masterclass is taken behind the scenes, how you find your first location, what you need to be thinking about in finding a location. We give you a gift in the masterclass where it's a step-by-step process of how you're opening your coffee shop, the different checkpoints you need from coming up with your plans and talking with the city and then negotiating a lease. And then how do you build a team and what are the different pieces you need to be thinking about? It's a great masterclass, door to door, start to finish, completely free on opening up your next coffee drive-through. So check it out. It's at myfirstdrivethrough.coffee, and it's a great masterclass. You won't regret it. We'll see you on the inside there.
I'm thinking like, well, what if I'm finding people that are maybe smaller to start, but have big ambitions to grow? And if I can start small and grow with them, it's kind of like an easier growing pace versus maybe just locking in a wake up call or these big, that's going to make me instantly like, oh crap, I am in over my head with, all
Right.
this.
Welcome to the Coffee Experts Club, where we discuss all of the insights, expertise, and drama that goes into making your passion your profession. Our hosts, Aaron, Ben, and Drew, are three coffee experts who have taken their coffee experience and turned it into true expertise. They have consulted with major coffee brands throughout the United States and beyond, providing operations expertise and growth strategy for drive-through openings, multiple locations, and everything in between. So brew yourself a cup and hang out a bit with the Coffee Experts Club.
Yeah, it's Coffee Experts Club. What's going on, boys?
Yo.
Man, Drew down in Belize. I'm looking forward to being with you next week, man. It's going to be a good time. We're talking about location number 3. We're talking about meeting with some business owners. Drew's like, oh, is that what we're doing? And I'm like, that's what we're doing. Talking to some property owners, seeing just some creative ways we might be able to get location number 3 up and moving by the end of this year.
Trees get rings as they get older, and I get wrinkles as we open more stores.
Pretty exciting though.
Hey, at least your beer's not all gray yet.
That's right. Welcome to the fan club. I do have a lot more year.
I'm not quite 30, but as soon as I hit the big 3-0, I'm sure it'll start turning one.
Yes, location number 1 was November, right? November 2022, Drew. Our soft opened October, big open, grand opening, November 2022. Opened up our second one we were hoping was going to happen end of 2023, but it ended up being January 2024. And then coming into this next one, the hope would be the same, that we could get ground broken and up and running. I think such an awesome thing to be able to be in a place where we could start breaking ground in October and have doors open by first week of January. That was pretty badass. And I'm excited to hopefully replicate, see how it goes.
Genius about that is you don't have to worry about the snow.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of snow, our guest today, I'm really excited to have back on the show somebody who actually worked with us through a grand opening in the snow, working out in the parking lot, shivering and cold and being like, dear God, will somebody come out here and relieve me so I don't have to just direct cars all the way through a winter day? So we've had Cody Anderson on the show before, and Cody is the master at a bunch of different things, master roaster. We had him last time. He was managing a bakery and coffee shop in town locally there in the Tri-Cities, but he's actually doing something pretty exciting for himself this time, which is pretty badass. So with no further ado, let's bring Cody Anderson up to the stage.
Mr. Cody.
Yeah. You remember the good old Edison days, bro? Out in that parking lot, just like shoveling snow, pushing people bracket. How was that?
I'm pretty sure we had like 3 cars get stuck and we're like pushing cars through the drive-through. And I'm pretty sure I was in my full ski gear. I was in my snowboarding outfit. It was pretty fun, but yeah, I think it was a little chilly, kind of not the ideal grand opening.
The
weather.
wildest thing is that it was actually a resounding success,
Yeah,
even though there was a foot of snow on the ground.
I know. I think it was just, there was not much to do that day since there was so much snow that people were like, oh, there's some free coffee. Why not? I don't know what we did, if we did free coffee or, $2 off or whatnot, but still, yeah, it was an event. That was free. We had drones flying over our head and stuff. That was crazy.
Right. the Moody brothers out there, Paul, just filming it up. All I have to say though is like Ben was the one that was supposed to be in charge of making sure people made the rotations, and he just left you out there like a popsicle. Just go on, live out there for fun.
Yep. Yep. That's a classic Ben move right there. He says, I'm
I think I,
cold and I'm going inside.
I think I just went, period. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm done for the day. See ya.
Now that's the classic Ben, bro. He's like, yep, looks like you guys got this handle. Talk to you guys later.
I was not a big fan of the grand opening stuff. He was always like, yeah, I'll do this, so the setup in the beginning, and then you guys can just do all that. I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
I love it.
You
Oh man. Well, Cody, man, we're excited for you, bro. I think that we've had you a couple times on the show. You talked to us about roasting. I think that is obviously your jam, something you've been doing for a lot of years, something that you kind of learned from the grassroots up. And then, we talked about last round when we had you, it opened up a new opportunity for a local business owner there in the Tri-Cities, wanted to bring you in, use your expertise to help further their thing forward, which is always awesome. But I feel like that's kind of been your MO. Like people have always kind of built off of this amazing knowledge base you've gained, the skill set that you have. But I'm most excited about what you're doing now because I feel like you're using all those skills now for yourself personally. And I'm just excited to hear about this new thing that you're doing. So tell us about Houdini, man.
Yeah. So just started a coffee roasting business in town called Houdini Coffee Roasters. The kind of business plan and idea is to obviously sell to local coffee shops, then to also do retail. So I'll have my own, website with my own like single origin coffees or blends so people can order coffee online. Any sort of espresso machine work, grinder work. I have a shop or a machine in my shop right now that I'm working on as well. So kind of like parts and repairs, and then also selling equipment too. So I have wholesale accounts with 2 distributors. And so trying to, so if someone's in town, either opening a new shop or new to coffee in general, kind of like a full service, right? I can do barista trainings. I can do shop layouts. I can get them equipment. I can install the equipment and service it as well as roast coffee for them. So trying to just do like the full suite, just be, someone that has the knowledge, right? If you're a coffee shop owner and you just don't really know too much about it, but you want to start it, you have the funds to start it, and maybe you're more business management side, then I can kind of take care of that kind of coffee questions and, make you feel at ease with that stuff. So that's the business pitch, by the way. I've been working on that.
Great, dude. I love it. The great elevator pitch. And the crazy part about that for me, Cody, is I feel like you and I've been hanging out for a long time. When back in the good old roasters days, like when you were doing these things for roasters, and I'd love for you to talk. I mean, let's wow some people with your numbers. Like you roasted so many pounds of coffee, thousands and thousands of pounds of coffee, not only for roasters, but also on for BlackRock, where, you did a ton of roasting for them. Like the cool thing is that you've grown in your skill set, from like just for the beginning when we first got the roastery for roasters back when they had like 5 stores, and then you built it up to like 15 stores. And then when BlackRock, moved in and did some purchasing of roasters, like you moved up with them and you started roasting at even a grander spectrum and moved up to Vancouver to do some bigger roasting. So it's so cool to see you climb. And then to say, hey, now that I've understood roasting at all these different levels, this is the decision I make, and I'm going to go and do this on my own. So as you're listening today, I feel like the roasting market is crowded, so I think that this isn't for the faint of heart. That machine sitting behind our boy is not a cheap machine, So I think this, you better know what you're getting into. But Cody, the exciting thing for me is hearing you talk and just hearing you lay out your business plan and your elevator pitch that was so good. Well done on nail it. I feel like it was a conversation you and I had like 8 years ago, and a much younger version of Cody Anderson, where you were like dreaming and you're like, someday I would love to. And it's just so cool to see now, man, like you come to a spot where it's like, not just these like seedlings of ideas, but it's actually you actually doing it, man. So kudos.
Yeah. Thanks. It's been a long time coming, obviously I think that first conversation was when we were roasting for maybe 6 shops, and just like, I was so stoked on having that job. I was like, man, what if this could be like my life, right? Like, talking to different coffee shop owners, fixing certain problems, dialing in coffees. Like, it was just such a fun job that I was like, if I could actually build a business on this, that would be legit. So yeah.
And
Love
here
that.
we are.
Here we are. Yeah. So, I mean, maybe you could walk us through like decision making. I know you and I have talked a lot about, Cody, you and I feel like have logged a lot of hours together. You and I weekly for years,
Yep.
and we work all the problems and pain points of a growing chain, from 5 locations to 7 locations to 9 locations. I mean, like we continued to locations that were located in cities far and away, and how we're going to get stuff there and how we stay ahead of the curve of what they need and bins of beans, conversations, bins of beans and bags of beans and bags that when they expire, how we know with expired beans and how do we make sure the beans stay fresh. I think you and I have talked through so many different things when it comes to roasting and supply chain and all those different pieces. As you come into this business now and it becomes your own, how did you make some of your decisions? Like I know the machine that's behind you is different. You've roasted on now a few different kinds of machines, right? And different manufacturers. How did you land on wanting a machine like that? How do you now make decisions on the kinds of shops you want to work with? I heard you landed a big client for your roastery already. That's you're already supplying a lot of beans to, which is super freaking exciting, right? Because it's the first step, is taking this big step. And then you get this really expensive machine and you're like, dear God, I hope this works. And then it's so cool to be able to land a big client where you're already roasting big for, and then you can now supplement it with maybe some other businesses that maybe aren't as big, or maybe they are, but it's just cool to watch your progression, man. So maybe walk us through how you made your decisions on machines and how you are finding clients. And that's just exciting stuff. And as you're finding clients, let me tuck this in. We would love for guests here on Coffee Experts Club. So if you're talking to owners of other coffee shops and you're like, hey, I think you'd really be a good guest, please,
Yeah.
dude, introduce us because we would love to be interviewing other guests.
Yeah. Yeah. So for, I guess, just like clientele, obviously we had set up a wholesale account or wholesale program with Resilient. So
Yeah, I remember.
a lot of those connections, I think ultimately you never know who you're going to be doing business with in the future. And so I think it's important that I was able to actually make a lot of difference in these people's lives as far as coffee goes, whether
Yeah.
that's, helping them build shops, giving them the information, getting them like off the ground and running. And,
Yeah.
there's value to that so that when, later on down the road, when I'm starting mine, it's like that little bit of memory of like, hey, he helped us start out. He's starting out. Why wouldn't we go with him? And not only that, but just like, the work that I've done for people, I just feel like they trust me. Right? And so I think building that trust earlier on, again, you never know who you're going to be in business with in the future. So all that to say, I feel like I have a good base around here, at least of coffee shop owners that I've either done service for or have roasted for in the past. So those are obviously the people that I would, reach out to initially. Those being a former coworker, he had started his own business in town and they have 2 locations. And so that was kind of the first account that I locked in, and they do about 300 to 350 pounds a week. So definitely not just like a, small account.
Right.
They have plans to, expand and keep growing. So I think, that's kind of, I didn't really know exactly what my plan was. Obviously reach out to the people that I know I have done work for and see if there's any potential working with them. But as it's like happening, I've been speaking with another client in town that took over another business and they're trying to rapidly expand. They're talking about going to Walla Walla, to Spokane. And so I'm kind of in the middle of this. I'm thinking like, well, what if I'm finding people that are maybe smaller to start, but have big ambitions to grow? And if I can start small and grow with them, it's kind of like an easier growing pace versus maybe just locking in a wake up call or these big, that's going to make me instantly like, oh crap, I am in over my head with, all
Right.
this. So it's like, maybe that is my niche, is finding these business owners that are, trying to either elevate their coffee game or opening new shops and have potential growth. So that's kind of the thought process behind that. As far as the machine, yeah, I've pretty much roasted on all different types of machines. I think I've roasted on every single one of the big main ones, the Geesons, the Lorings, the Probats, the Diedrichs. So I don't know exactly why. I was just like, I like the look of them. One of my favorite roasters, he roasts on them. And it's, now I can say I've roasted on every single one. So it's a little bit more craft oriented. There's not a lot of, it's a lot of manual controls. It's a lot of like, bring me back to the roots of what I learned versus like automation.
Which you love, right? You really have always loved that manual. How can I really have my hands on the sticks, right?
I just feel like you have more, with automated stuff, it was very much like initial testing, right? You get the initial phase of getting a good profile down. But then once it's like set and you're just like happy with it, it's very much, I don't know. I found myself like just hitting the start thing and going and doing other things that I needed to work on, and then coming back and it's like, I'm not even really roasting at this point. I know what I'm doing and I got things set up, but like, I don't know, it just locks you into what you're doing, having to like actually make these adjustments and smell the coffee and, all the manual adjustments. It just forces you to like really be there and in the moment. So that's kind of why I chose this one. I love it so far.
Love that. There is, we were talking the other day, and you're speaking of clients. It's interesting because once roasters and resilient kind of left the Tri Cities, there has been a big hole in the Tri Cities for good coffee. I mean, I'm sure if we talked to any of the coffee shop owners around here, though, of course, their coffee is the best coffee. But roasters and resilient, what you guys were roasting, really was some of the best coffee, beans and actual blends in the Tri Cities. And I think once, we sort of stepped out, you had the big players come in, but, their coffee was just, maybe I'm biased, but ours was the best and it was roasted by you. So I think with that hole, now that you're back in at roasting, I think there's going to be a lot of coffee shop owners going, oh, wait, we can get our hands on that coffee that the
Yeah.
competition was killing us with, because as the big fish in our area, we kind of killed with the coffee. And so I think it would be very smart for those local business owners to say, hey, I can get the guy who is roasting with my competition. Should probably talk to that guy.
And I think too, I mean, Drew and I talk about this all the time. Maybe Drew, you can lean in a little bit here, but you're just so damn likable, Cody. Like you're just such a good dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that the longer that we're in coffee and the longer, like obviously Drew and I are all over the place working with all kinds of people. Like Drew does a ton of coffee accounts, for a Collab team. And also obviously is, he's down in Belize and working and doing a bunch of different things down there, like internationally now too, right? It's not just like local Tri-Cities, but like, and I think Drew's got coffee accounts in Montana and in Reno and in South Dakota and like, like on the East Coast, like that Drew's working with Tennessee. Drew's got all these different accounts that Drew works from the Collab team perspective and does consulting with. But I think that what we found is gems like Cody are rare. Like it's not like you're not just a commonplace dude. And Drew and I were just having this conversation earlier this week about, hey, let's run that by Cody because we trust Cody, because Cody always comes through for us. And because Cody is just so damn likable, it's just so good to get to work with people you just enjoy to be around, man. So I think that you have the right ingredients in my mind for just being a super success at what you're doing, man. So kudos on that side.
I appreciate that. I enjoy our little late night tech calls about, how to fix this machine and troubleshooting over, across the whole continent or the world, I guess, and trying to figure out what the heck's wrong with your espresso machine. So,
Thank God for instant messaging across nations.
yep.
Yeah. I'm curious, like what Ben said, what you're doing is going to be a hot commodity, and you're not just doing beans. Now you're doing, you said full service. So you're doing the tech work, you're doing installations, you're doing consulting as far as bar setups and on and on and on. And if you are with clients that are growing, that means, you're going to need another Cody. And I know how much you love to manage people. Have you thought about what that looks like moving forward to grow a little bit of a team underneath you?
Yeah, no, I honestly really excited for that part of it because I'm excited to build the culture that I want to make, or at least the vision of like what I wanted to work in, which was similar to roasters, but like in my own flair, but like building that culture that when I was 18, what kind of area would I want to work in? I had no idea what I wanted to do. I didn't want to go to school because I had no path. I wasn't like, I want to be an electrician or I wanted to go to do this. I was just like, I really don't know. I can't see myself doing something yet for the rest of my life. So I was like, I don't know, but I just wanted to work at a fun place with good people and just something random, whatever it is, I'll pick it up and learn it. I'm excited to build that culture for maybe someone that is how I was when I was like younger and be able to have this team and like everyone grows together and learns about coffee and then maybe they go off and do their own thing too. I'm excited to build that for sure. It may come sooner than, we're anticipating. That's for sure.
I think that, I mean, we talk about that a lot on this show of how everybody's got their strengths, everybody's got their weaknesses, right? But like one of Wes's greatest strengths, I believe, was find a young talent and throw them in the deep end and just be like, hey, figure it out, like empowering you to go and figure it out, and not like necessarily trying to get all up in the business of what you were doing, like start you down a path and then encourage you to go figure it out. And I think that it was great fertile ground for you to really do those things. And I think then I remember when Wes sent you somewhere down in Central America, right? To go down and check out coffee.
Yeah, it was Brazil.
Yeah. So it's down to South America where it was like, hey, I'm going to send you down there to go and expand your horizons and go check out what Atlas is doing and go see what the, like all these big pieces. And I think that I just watched you flourish in an environment like that. And I think it's cool. Do you have that same heart then too of like, hey, let's find youngers and let's bring them in who have that like apt for like you. I remember some of our first conversations with tech, Cody, where you were like, you were outside of your depth a little bit. And I remember like, I think it was at the college or something like that, setting up their bar. And it was like, it was a different scenario and you had never been there before and you were super stressed about, but you had taken it apart to the nth power of all of the potential things that could possibly go wrong, and it, like, but you got out there and you did it and you were a badass and they were so grateful to have you there. And I just think, it's so exciting to watch young people come in with an aptitude towards excellence, and then just like feed them into the soil of, let's see how you're going to do in this scenario that maybe is just a little bit outside of your comfort zone. And let's see how you flourish. And I think that you really did that. And so is that kind of your vision for it too? Let's find some younger guys. Let's try and pour to them. Let's, instead of hiring like experienced people that know all this stuff, let's go find people that maybe you can build into.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it'll be a mix and depending on if there's someone that has all the experience, but that's my goal is to build a young team and be able to kind of give them, obviously do a little bit different than, maybe a little bit more hands-on than what I had, not in a copper tube that's straight and say, bend it and put it on the machine. And there are so many weird stories. I do remember that WSU Tri-Cities though. And the next morning they called me and said that my water line burst off and flooded their area. So,
Nice.
I have made a lot of mistakes, but I feel like that was the biggest factor was that, Wes or whoever it was had pushed me to say, just do it, man. And like, I made those mistakes early and then I learned what not to do. Right. Like there's so many times. I mean, with Drew, I was teaching him how to do a steam one rebuild and almost blew my face off because I didn't depressurize the machine. And so, you have to make the mistakes and you have to learn from them, but getting out there and just doing it is like the best teacher of all. That's at least for some people, right? Not everyone learns that way, but that's how I learn.
Every guy here on this call learned, right? And it's like, I think about Drew, long-haired hippie kid coming in, like, and like just saying, you know what I mean? And then by the time he's exiting, he's like a regional over 7 locations. I do think if you have that aptitude, Ben too, like like the stories of Benji and like following the beginning days of Roasters and emo Ben Clatterbuck, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To the point where when Ben exits, he's like the director of ops for 150 employees in all these locations. But I do think if you have the right culture that says, hey, I'm going to see the value in people and try and foster the ones that grew. And some, like you said, succeeded in that environment and others didn't. But I think that these guys on this call all were products of, hey, let's push them outside of their comfort zone a little bit and letting them draw on their natural skill. Ben had to figure out all those things on his own. Nobody helped Ben figure that stuff out. Ben just had to jump into the deep end of the pool and figure it out, And I think that to me is inspiring because I think, look at where you guys have all ascended to. You know what I mean? Like all of you are doing such cool things, Ben made a kid, you know what I'm saying? Like, look at him.
Yeah. I don't know how you did that
You
one.
might be a future Houdini Coffee Roasters employee.
That could be true. I know. Well, I would pick for sure. I'd pick all 4 of you, 3 of you. I guess I'm the 4th.
Pick yourself. That counts.
Yeah, I'll pick myself.
So do you feel like in the years to come, are you going to try and just hunker down there in local, or is your desire to spread beyond local, or what do you feel like your vision is for some of those things?
Well, I think the vision would be to, within the next 3 years, be able to build and have like a bigger location, obviously, get a 75 pounder of this and then have both and maybe set up more accounts in the more regional area. So branching out to like, Wenatchee or, areas around here and kind of setting up more of like a logistics, just a bigger location with maybe we have delivery drivers that run stuff out, whatever. And then, being kind of like a hub for, maybe it's like a park. Now it becomes like you can come and purchase parts directly from me versus, me having to order everything and get it in. Maybe it's like so just bigger operations, obviously more accounts, more branching out a little bit farther in the area. But yeah, definitely upsizing, getting to one bigger roaster, keeping this one. This one will be, more your small batch roasting, and the other one would be more production roasting. But yeah, that's the goal. That's within 3 years, be able to go build our own building, have like a cupping lab, a green coffee storage room, and, and a maintenance room where I can, have machines hooked up and bench test things all separate in different rooms, but like a pretty much a big facility that has everything, kind of everything that I pulled from all these different operations that I've seen over the years and kind of make my own little twist on it.
Sounds cool. Big dreams. What do you feel like sets apart Houdini from others in your area that are doing coffee roasting as well?
Yeah, I think really the main thing that I believe is different from me is just based off like the experience that I have. It kind of can fit wherever your business needs. I feel like a lot of roasteries are just so kind of cut and dry. Like, hey, we deliver you coffee. Here's your choices. I feel like I'm at least I want to help the customer kind of create what makes sense for them. So it's not, trying to shove certain things down your throat over you need this plan with this and this package. It's kind of just all custom. Like let's sit down and talk. Let's kind of go over what your goals are as a company and see kind of where I can fit in with you and how I can help you out. And that can be just as simple as roasting your coffee. It can be more intense, like doing all the preventative maintenance and setting up new shops and training your baristas. It could be as little or as much as you want, but I feel like that's kind of what separates me is that I can do all those different things. And not a lot of roasteries, especially in town, have that ability to do all of that. So
When you do bring on like new clients, new customers, how do you or they like choose what kind of? I mean, do they usually come in like saying, "Hey, I want to serve exclusively like a Brazilian Guatemalan blend," or do you like say, "This is what I recommend"? Do you do a cupping with them? How does that work?
yeah, so I think, initially it's just kind of a conversation is like, do you like what coffee you have right now? Is this something that you want? Um, at a different roast degree? Do you like generally like what's your blend now? Is it, a 2 bean blend, 3 bean blend? What origins do you have? Like, do you even know that? Can we like figure that out? And do you like it or what are you trying to improve? What's your goal? And from there, I can kind of, pick and choose some coffees. If they want to do something custom, we can do a custom blend. If they're looking for doing their own blend for like with their own private labeling, I'd be open to doing that as well. So if they want to purchase their own bags with their own logos and just have me roast the coffee and package it, I'd be willing to do that. So it's kind of just determining what their goals are and what they're trying to get. If they're just trying to change coffees, they want to go lighter, they're trying to go higher end. And so that helps me kind of gauge and determine you know, what their needs are. So that's kind of how I gauge it at first. And then we kind of go down those steps where we can, do a couple roasts and cup them together and see, are we too light? We too dark? Does this blend? Is this kind of what you're fitting? Like, is this the coffee's tasting how you think they would? Or, there's some people that are like, I don't care, just match what I have. I want to choose local. Just take this bean, try to cup it on your own. I don't want any part of it, but just like give me something that tastes similar. And so like, just different varieties of what people want. Some
Sure.
people want it all, like be in every single step. Some people, I don't have the time, just match the coffee and we'll call it good. So
I know there's some big players at coffee shops around here. I know Kova's got a pretty heavy presence in the Tri-Cities. Are you going to see if you can go in, undercut the competition, little bit of price gouging on their end, and see if you can get in and take some of those accounts? Is that a
yeah,
little too aggressive right out the gate, or are
no,
you?
I think, I mean, obviously the growth is important, but I also want to make sure I'm growing at a healthy rate. That's not, you know, now I'm just roasting and now I have no time for maintenance for these accounts that I've already told I can do maintenance
Sure.
for. It's like there's certain things like that where I want to, so I'll probably start with specific things, but no one's off the table, honestly. I think it's just providing, I've talked to some of these people that carry bigger brands. And one of the most common things is like they feel like they don't get much support. It's like, oh, we
Mhm.
order their coffee, but like if someone could come and like dial in the shots every once in a while or retrain our baristas or just refresh or just something like that. Like, be able to also service our equipment. So we're just kind of doing it all in one. I think that's where I do have the leverage against some of these bigger corporations that, yes, their coffee is amazing. They've been doing it for years, but like, where's the service that comes along with it? And I think that's kind of, again, where I have the ability to do that.
And where your personality shines.
Smart.
I think that can be something that I feel like you can really lean into and win a lot of affection based on that. You know what I mean? I do think that's what separates you. I think you should lean into it.
Yep.
Cody, man, so good to have you on the show. Thank you, brother, for coming back in. Always bringing the goods, always bringing the awesome things that you bring. Super excited for Houdini, super excited for your own thing. All these years of building up. I think we really advocate for that here on Coffee Experts Club of, hey, how can you grow your skill set and then spin it into something that is a benefit to you and the people around you? So kudos to you on that, man. And I'm sure I'll have you. Thanks for coming in and hanging out with us.
It's a pleasure hanging out with you boys.
Thanks for tuning in. Everybody have a great day, and we'll see you next week on Coffee Experts Club. Hey, coffee experts. Those of you running independent coffee shops, you're always looking for ways that you can drop your costs. And we here at the Coffee Experts Club really understand that. And so we've started something called Indie Coffee Coalition. And what it's designed to do is to drop your costs on two of the things that you're probably experiencing the highest sales volume in your store. And that is energy drink and frat mix. Those two line items, we've created our own products and are offering you those products at a reduced cost so that you can cut out the Red Bull of America. You can cut out the main lines of energy drinks that you're doing and serve your own energy drink at a reduced cost on a line item that you're probably already making a lot of sales on anyway. The best way that you can grow sales is by dropping your costs and maintaining a current volume. So check us out at indiecoffee.co, and we'll love to tell you more there. Hey, experts, we've got something really awesome that we do here at Coffee Experts Club, and that's called the My First Drive-Through.Coffee Masterclass. So if you're opening your next coffee shop, I think a lot of times you may think to yourself, I know what goes into opening a coffee shop. I've been doing this for years, but maybe you've been doing it for somebody else. And maybe this is your first option of starting a coffee shop on your own. Or maybe you don't know anything about coffee and you're just like, I'm looking for a good investment opportunity. Starting a coffee shop seems like a good place to put it, and you're going to enter into it. But what you don't know is all the things that you don't know, right? And so what we've done with this masterclass is taken behind the scenes, how you find your first location, what you need to be thinking about in finding a location. We give you a gift in the masterclass where it's a step-by-step process of how you're opening your coffee shop, the different checkpoints you need from coming up with your plans and talking with the city and then negotiating a lease. And then how do you build a team and what are the different pieces you need to be thinking about? It's a great masterclass, door to door, start to finish, completely free on opening up your next coffee drive-through. So check it out. It's at myfirstdrivethrough.coffee, and it's a great masterclass. You won't regret it. We'll see you on the inside there.
Thanks so much for joining us today. For those of you who are looking to become a coffee expert yourself, we offer an incredible, thorough training online for opening your first coffee drive-through at www.myfirstdrivethrough.coffee.